Time obeys military secured camp justice, the glacial pace of legal progress can feel anything but just.
It's an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment.
Frustrations breaking free in the isolated naval outpost as lawyers for the accused Bali bombing boss Bali and his co-accused argue for a trial this year. Realistic though, the government may have other ideas.
As the great Brittany once said, oops, I did it again. That's what they keep saying when it comes to discovery. They have deadlines. They miss them.
In court, there were tears today as family members of 4 British victims of the 2002 blast finally laid eyes on accused killer Bali. Jamar Islamia's money man only addressing the judge once to ask if he can be compelled to be present in court. Bali's demeanour today appeared light, the accused terror boss entering the courtroom with a large smile across his face. Dressed simply in a Javanese-style shirt and long pants, he waved to his co-accused before sitting down with his legal team, sharing a joke and laughing out loud in the moments before the judge entered the courtroom.
Oh, I don't know if he considers any of this a joke. I think he's happy to see his co-accused who are his old friends.
The accused, just 3 of the camp's remaining 30 prisoners, tonight a step closer to learning their fate.
Rosenberg of the New York Times wrote today, a prosecutor on Monday proposed a March 2025 trial date for 3 men accused of conspiring in the 2002 nightclub bombings in Bali, Indonesia, pledged to present the military judge with all proposed national security evidence in the case in the next 9 months. Defense lawyers protested the timeline is too long for the 3 men, an Indonesian and 2 Malaysians, who have been held by the United States since 2003. They asked the judge to require prosecutors to explain ongoing negotiations with the CIA and other intelligence agencies about the evidence. James Hodes, the criminal defense lawyer for Ensap Nurjaman, who's also known as Ridwan Ismudin, who's Nam Degor Bali, would say that these gentlemen have been incarcerated for 20 years, Judge, and these men are entitled for a trial. Mr. Hodes complained that 20 months after the men were first brought to court, prosecutors have yet to share with them statements the defendants made while in U.S. custody. In federal court, Mr. Hodes said that in routinely done for the day, a defendant is charged. Prosecutors accused the 3 prisoners, Ridwan Ismudin, Mohammed Nazar bin Lep, and Mohammed Farid bin Amin, murder, terrorism, and conspiracy in the Bali bombings, which killed 202 people, and in the 2003 Marriott hotel bombing in Jakarta, Indonesia, which killed at least 11 people and wounded at least 80. The defendants were captured in Thailand in 2003 and spent more than 3 years in the secret CIA prison network, where, according to their lawyers, they were tortured. They were brought to Guantanamo Bay in 2006. Monday was their first return to the courtroom since a 2-day arraignment in August of 2021. At the back of the courtroom in a spectator's chamber, guests of the prosecution taped photos of 4 men to 4 empty front row seats. Apparently representing victims of the Bali bombing, Colonel George C. Craich, lead prosecutor, announced that relatives of the victims have traveled a long distance to be here participating in the proceedings. The defendants in traditional tunics, trousers, and skullcaps said little in court, but complained to the judge about the translations of the session, an issue they also had during their only court appearance in 2021. Sometimes the Malaysians heard Indonesian dialect through their headsets, and sometimes the Indonesian heard translations meant for the Malaysians. Also, their lawyers protested the military's contract interpretations, sometimes resorting to English when they forgot a key word. For example, an interpreter could not remember how to say interpreter in Malaysian dialect. Separately, the judge declined to excuse an interpreter who had previously remarked that the U.S. government was wasting so much money on these terrorists. They should have been killed a long time ago. Instead, the judge cautioned the interpreters who were working from a remote location, and he expected their translations to be neutral, sanitized, surgical. Defense lawyers sought an order from the judge to require prosecutors to be more transparent and proposed a December trial date, essentially to force the government to turn over the evidence. One explanation for the delay is that at Guantanamo's hybrid federal military court, the Pentagon prosecutors work with U.S. intelligence agencies to decide what evidence must be withheld from the trial. Together, they redact documents on fashion substantiations from actual evidence and seek permission to use them instead. The judge compares the revisions to the original evidence, and if he decides they are inadequate, returns them to prosecutors to essentially do better. Colonel Cray said the government should present all evidence and substitutions for the judge's review by January 31st. But he said March 2025 was the earliest practical date to start trial. This is the last hearing under the current judge, Captain Hayes C. Larson of the Navy. Colonel Cray said neither the prosecution nor a new judge would be ready any sooner. Once defense lawyers receive all the evidence, the case goes into pretrial hearings with the opportunity to call witnesses, seek missing evidence, and most likely argue that some evidence was tainted by the defendant's CIA captivity. In 2003, a CIA interrogator told Ridwan Issamuddin, also known as Hambali, that he would never go to court because we can never let the world know what I have done to you, according to a study of the CIA program that was released by the Senate Intelligence Committee in December 2014. Lieutenant Colonel Chantel Higgins of the Marines, a lawyer defending Mohammed bin Amin, accused the U.S. government of misplaced priorities. Spent millions of dollars on a systematic torture program, she said. When it comes to administering justice, we want no penny to perish. We want to say, we don't have the resources. We don't have the computers. It's complex. It's America, she added. We could do it if we want to.